got their manipulations already set to be able to do the...
Not to be outdone, second drop orb for SpaceColonizer.
And we've got some spreaders to kind of handle the width of the room, but there's the rockets. That's the ideal weapon that you want. And more rockets for SpaceColonizer.
Man, a 116 out of collect power up. SpaceColonizer with a 121, so he's about 5.5 seconds back of Brisulph, but he will have rockets to start. Eat my shrapnel. The idea is to take out 18 of the Mr. Shrapnels, but only a maximum of 4 can be on the screen at once. So if you don't have that orb and the game does not give you weapons to compensate for that, you could be bleeding time, but that should not be a problem for either runner.
Now, both holding on to the orb here, and both... .206, so minimal time gained for Brisulph, but pretty even across the board here.
We lost audio for a moment. We'll get back on in just a moment because I saw that Mr. Dino was dropped on our little feed here, but we'll try to get back up in just a moment. All right, we are back, so that is good. Both of the players, it looks like, still has the orb. I don't have video coverage back yet, but look at Brisulph with the 248.
Oh, sweet mercy.
That is a dynamite time going into the bonus room, but SpaceColonizer holding his own. He's got a 257 into the bonus room as it's time for Taco Bell product placement with Taco Bell.
Man, anything sub 3 minutes into the bonus room here is fantastic, and SpaceColonizer would be leading most races, but this is Brisulph, the world record holder.
Yeah, anything sub 3, you're going to be leading 95 to 99% of the time. But yeah, against Brisulph, I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes. But typical tank trouble trash, it looks like. Yeah, foot after foot, and really nothing on SpaceColonizer's side to, even have a shot at gaining ground on Brisulph. As you see, one gunner still attached. It's the right gunner. There's a nuke. That'll give Brisulph the opening, and there it goes, the second gunner. Here's a spreader. Dangerous grab there by SpaceColonizer. You never know if those foot soldiers are going to come out of that southern door. So another nuke for Brisulph, and that is going to close out the room. And look at this. It is a sub 4 into the Mutoid Man fight. World record potential here.
Oh, SpaceColonizer, meanwhile, losing the orb and losing the life as well. And Bry just looking for some drops. The invulnerability will allow him to take care of those front gunners.
Yeah, this is typical Mutoid Man. Drops and does not get the ball buster, unfortunately, and gets another empty drop. If you don't think the game knows, well, you didn't see CHX's run earlier this week when he had a 3:48 entry time, and Mutoid Man just gave him the business there.
Yep, and you could see Brisulph just kind of waving his hand as oh, well, there goes that. All right, let's just finish
And unfortunately, it's equal opportunity drops, which is bad news for SpaceColonizer. Back-to-back invulnerabilities. Come on, game. Stop being RNG underwhelming the underdogs here. Does look like he might have gotten the ball.
3 in a row.
Are you kidding me, game? Are you kidding me? Both arms popped off on Brisulph's side, but he's not really been getting weapons. Both of them are riding the rockets now, but yikes, this has just been disastrous, especially for SpaceColonizer. They're finally a decent drop in lobbers, grenades for Brisulph. SpaceColonizer could just, there's the spreader though, but he's gonna have to go manual. He's looking for that invulnerability and get sabotaged by grenades. What on the earth?
Game.
What on earth? And a spreader for SpaceColonizer. Here's a chance for him to catch up. Both of the arms are popped off, but there's a spreader. This should finish the job for Brisulph. Gonna get that transfer damage. Now the invulnerability shows up way too late. That could have been massive, but nevertheless, Brisulph will take game number 1. It'll be about a 601. Space Colonizer going to get a spreader, but unfortunately too late.
Nope, he got it.
No. Too late
Oh,
for it to matter. Too late to matter.
doesn't matter. Okay. And
Yeah,
of
he's.
course, back up.
Yep. Another empty drop. There's a lobber that should take Space Colonizer to final form if he does not miss a lot of these shots. There it is. I'll tell you what, Mutoid Man being Trolltoid Man to both of these runners here. I mean, Brisulph on sub 4 going into the door and getting back-to-back invulnerabilities, but Space Colonizer getting triple invulnerability, and any hope that he had of trying to catch up just went out the door because of that. Still, solid performance by Space Colonizer, but it will be Brisulph drawing first blood in this match.
Yeah, I mean 652, extremely respectable. I mean, yeah, my PB is probably about a minute fast or slower than that, I should say. So definitely nothing to sneeze at. But when you're taking on the number one in the world, you have a daunting task ahead of you, to say the least.
Absolutely, because your opponent is going to turn in these low 6 times, these upper 5 times. Again, Brisulph having the tournament record of a 518 in last year's tournament. Who knows? You just might see that record fall at any time. I mean, it's a tough one to break. There've only been a handful of 5-on-X's, but that just goes to show you got to be at your best if you want to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. I'm going to see if both of these runners are ready, and we'll get game number 2 started.
Yeah, to give you an idea, the 518 that Bry had in the tournament last year, that was just roughly 5.5 to 6 seconds off of his world record time, which was 5 minutes and 12 point, for all intents and purposes, 6 seconds. 599. But what's 1,000th of a second between friends here?
Absolutely. But both runners have been counted down. They are underway. Game number 2. Let's see if Space Colonizer can tie up this match. He was keeping up with Brisulph well until towards the end of Tank Trouble. And that's when he started to bleed some time on Brisulph, because Brisulph just was not getting the immaculate drops in that room, much like CHX did when he was on pace, sub 250 going into the bonus room. Both of them have their Razor Shield manipulations. No nuke this time for Brisulph, but does not matter. He still is going to have the whole shot. Space Colonizer going to be about 3 or so seconds back and going to get a mid 39 this time around. Still a very respectable time. Space Colonizer a mid 43, so about 4 seconds back. Let's see if the drops favor both of these runners like it did in game number 1. A spreader to start for Brisulph is not bad. Let's see if Space Colonizer can do better than that. The drops are drawing for Brisulph, as unfortunately Space Colonizer kind of dropped a little bit. Gets a Razor Shield.
Well, it'll help keep some of the foot soldiers at bay, allow them to kind of work on the room a little bit without anything running into them. The spreader will definitely help on top of that. And a 117 for Bry into Eat My Shrapnel.
My word, a 76 in game 1, a 77 in game number 2. You get those kind of times going into Eat My Shrapnel. Not only are you doing a lot of good things, but you've also been blessed with a lot of great drops, Bergs.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like I'm lucky to be able to get 77 seconds in to collect power-ups.
Yeah, right. And poor Space Colonizer hasn't done anything wrong here in game number 2. It's just, again, our sayings, RNG favors the favorites and underwhelming the underdogs, and that's exactly what's happening. Space Colonizer getting a dude. Where are his weapons? And look at this, 1 more to go, and Brisulph 2 minutes flat into total carnage, and yeah, Space just getting absolutely hosed. And look at this, a Razor Shield to start, total carnage. Get out of here. Finally, Space Colonizer gets his orb, but he's going to be bleeding time already, just because he didn't have any weapons until that orb showed up. He is 16 seconds back. Rockets to start. That'll be a great drop for Space Colonizer, followed up with a key spreader now for Brisulph. And now a second Razor Shield for Brisulph. Kind I have no words left. I have no words left, Burgundy.
I'm just flabbergasted here, and we're going to see another sub 3. This is 252.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's another fantastic time into the bonus room. SpaceColonizer with a nuke there to give him a little bit of a breather. He's holding his own here. That's a difficult drop there, that spreader where those mines are, but is able to pick it up without stepping on that mine. And this should be close to the end of the room, I would imagine, for SpaceColonizer, and it is. But he is going to find himself quite a ways back at 317. I'm telling you, he's done nothing wrong in this game. It's just the drops have been favoring Brisulph here. And then, you know, it's bad enough that you're an underdog coming in because you look at their PBs respectively. It's worse when the game's RNG also decides to really throw you under the bus.
Yeah, it's just additional, you know, it's adding insult to insult, I guess, for lack of a better
I
phrase.
suppose. More spreaders now for Bryce. I've been riding the spreader train here in Tank Trouble. So the drops have been decent for once. I mean, no rockets, which is the optimal drop that you want to see in Tank Trouble, but still another solid run. It's not going to be sub 4 this time around, but Bryce with the 402 looking for a 69 nice second fight. If he were to do that, that'd be world record.
That would be nice indeed.
All right, starting with lobbers. You want to, of course, take down the swirls before you pick up a lobber. He's going to try to get the ball buster and does not get it.
Oh, and gets flattened.
Well, he's hoping to see a spreader here and gets it.
Unbelievable.
And out of vulnerability, but he's not going to be able to get to it. He gets run over before he can get there. And yeah, his smile on his face is like, oh, that could have been really huge. And now the troll toy drops are coming. Meanwhile, SpaceColonizer once again struggling with tank trouble, much like he did in game number 1. He's struggling with it even more here in game number 2. Does get done with the room, but he finds himself almost a minute back, 56 seconds to be exact. I mean, if he can get spreaders and invulnerabilities chained up, it could still happen, but there's a spreader for Brisulph. He's going to have to go manual. It's just not a good enough spot to take that intentional death, and he's going to see if he can get a manual or maybe another invulnerability. Not this time. It is rockets. Lobbers for SpaceColonizers. He's trying to pop off that first arm. Brisulph looking for another spreader here. Doesn't get it. It's grenades. There's a spreader for SpaceColonizer. Will he be able to get to it? He will be able to get to it to deal some damage, but he's going to need to keep seeing that. There's a vulnerability. He sees it. Can he get to it without getting trampled? Yes. But it's final form now for Brisulph. Second arm pops off. Oh, but sabotaged by the grenades and just a bad spot there. Ribcage exposed. Lobbers now. Lobbers for Brisulph. This should finish the job for Brisulph. Few more shots, I would imagine, will do the trick. Penultimate form for SpaceColonizer, but too late. Game number 2 belongs to Brisulph, and he is one game away from guaranteeing himself some cold hard cash in his pocket. Time will be 6:16. SpaceColonizer made a nice comeback. He got the drops needed. It was just, he was too far back, unfortunately. That tank trouble really set him back.
Yep, typical turmoil in tank trouble, causing SpaceColonizer to fall a little short, but still,
It's a
again, very respectable time.
Yeah, it's going to be about a 650. So he did gain about 20-some seconds. I mean, if he would have been closer back, that could have been a snipe job there for SpaceColonizer. But alas, just was too far back. Time ends up being 6:49. So he gained 23 seconds on Brisulph there, Burgundy. If he just would have had a better tank trouble, because remember, he was 20-some seconds back. He lost all that time in tank trouble. If he has a better tank trouble, he wins the match, or wins that game, I should say.
Yeah, it's difficult when you're running into a proverbial buzzsaw. I know I've had that type of trouble racing Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Somebody who's made his way onto GDQ. I think I had to play perfectly, and I think I beat him once by like 30 some odd seconds. Ness Cardinality, a name you might know a little bit about.
Oh, absolutely, indeed. But yeah, that was a very exceptional Mutoid Man fight there by SpaceColonizer. Again, he only ended up losing by 23 seconds. So, I mean, he really got good drops, but he also played it well also. I mean, Brisulph got trolled for the second consecutive game there when going in there with a small chance at world record. I mean, it's just very hard to get an extremely fast Mutoid Man fight when you absolutely need it the most. But I think if SpaceColonizer can just clean up his tank trouble, or if the game just gives him better drops in that room, I think we could see a game 4 happen.
I was thrown for a bit because I saw the thing move to normal. It's, oh, that's just the manip. I'm waiting for that moment where somebody accidentally leaves it on normal, as was done last year by Jackamus against me, and he still beat me by 2 minutes.
All right, I'm going to see if both of these runners are ready. Brisulph ready to go here for game number 3. He's trying to lock this game up and move on to the next round of the winners final. SpaceColonizer also ready to go. I'm going to get him counted down. All right, and they are underway. Game number 3. Brisulph trying to get another clean sweep here en route to making it to the money rounds. And again, once these runners make it to the money rounds, it becomes best of 7. So it takes 4 wins to get a match victory. And both of these runners do have their Razor Shield. All right, again, we'll have to look at the times here because there's a little bit of a discrepancy. But Brisulph, again, sub 40, another mid 39 in to collect power-ups. Better collect power-ups for SpaceColonizer, a mid 40. So just 1 second back. So they're pretty much neck and neck for all intents and purposes. Opening foot, not desirable there for Brisulph. Does get a Razor Shield. Even less desirable for SpaceColonizer are those grenades. Spreader now for Brisulph. With the Razor Shield, going to gain control of the middle, but he wants to burn that, trying to collect as many drops as he possibly can, and does get the Vitamin R. Spreader now for SpaceCo, but there is the first orb once again going to our defending champion Brisulph, and he's going to pick it up at the end of the room and right at 80 seconds. So not quite the sub 80 this time around for Brisulph, but still a respectable time. SpaceColonizer, respectable 85-second entry. So he's holding his own, getting some good drops, but still no orb. And he's going to need to see that orb show up, and fast.
The desperation's starting to kick in a little bit for SpaceColonizers, probably utilizing those rockets a bit liberally, as probably could have taken out a few more enemies.
And he gets a foot. And this is where he's going to bleed time if he cannot get these Mr. Shrapnels. And he gets a key. Seriously, game, a key. And this is the end of the room, too. He ended up losing about 4 seconds because he just didn't get any drops. And now this is where he's really going to bleed time if he does not see that orb quick. Gets rockets. That'll keep him afloat. There's that orb. So he's not really going to lose any more time. That saved his bacon right there. He could have been double digits behind easily. Now he has to keep the orb healthy.
That is easier said than done.
Oh, you've said it. I mean, we've seen this happen many times here. You know, you get into these droughts where you just don't see an orb, and you lose that orb. You just get really sick to your stomach here. Brisulph really not getting spectacular drops here this time in Total Carnage. It's still going to be a sub entry of 3 minutes, 2:56, but that's not 2:48 or 2:52, let's be honest, but still very solid time going into the bonus room. And SpaceColonizer didn't lose much time. I think he only lost a second, 3:07, as it's time once again for Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell.
You love to see when there's a little breather for both of our runners and they're pretty concurrent.
right, not a good drop to start Brisulph, but there's a nuke that should be able to take down the other gunner. Yes, indeed. Now try to focus on the middle of the room, get some drops, but he gets a dude instead. Nuke for SpaceColonizer to start the room. There's a Razor Shield, great drop. Unfortunately, SpaceColonizer struggling again in tank trouble and drops his orb. But gets a replacement. Will he get to it without getting sniped? Yes.
Very nice movement, and there's rockets to compound it. The game actually rewarding for a change.
4:05 into Muto, man. Another exceptional time there for Brisulph. World record going to be difficult. Not impossible, but it's going to be difficult. But who knows what might happen. Nice nuke there from SpaceCo. And again, didn't really lose much time, but then drops the orb at the end. He won't be able to do the ball buster. Unfortunate. Still at 4:22. He's only 17 seconds back. If he could get the kind of Mutoid Man fight he got in game number 2, he could still bring this back, Bergs.
Yeah, he certainly has a chance here. Now that ball buster, well, there's a spreader. I'll have to go manual on it.
Yeah, he's going to do the opening move manual there. That's exactly what you want to do. So he wouldn't have gotten the ball buster anyways. He would have done that same move. So the first arm pops off, but there is a lobber for Brisulph, a lobber now for SpaceCo. One gunner off, rib cage exposed. SpaceCo not going after invulnerability, but luckily gonna go for the intentional. He's hoping for a spreader, but it's an invulnerability.
Come on, game.
RNG once again underwhelming the underdogs here, and already penultimate form for Brisulph. Sees the spreader, but too late. Won't be able to get to it. And a key. Are you serious, game? And a spreader for Brisulph, but he's going to have to go man. Another spreader! He'll be able to manual this one, or he'll be able to use the invulnerability, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, SpaceCo was attempting to manual and just a little bit of a wiggle there, and now that's going to pop the rib cage open, but final form here, and of course another spreader for Brisulph. This is when you don't want it.
And it's going to be a sub-6 for Brisulph, and he is going to sweep this 3-0. And once again, RNG favoring the favorites, underwhelming the underdogs, and then SpaceColonizer gets zapped trying to get that spreader. So GG to Brisulph, who will take it 3-0, guarantee himself some cash as he advances to the money round. SpaceCo not eliminated, though. He will move down into the second chance bracket. And there he will be taking on Johnny Link in that round.
And that should be a good one.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, Brisulph with the jumping jacks from Daniel Bryan there, or Brian Danielson. My goodness.
Yeah, SpaceColonizer, overall played very solidly. He finished sub-7 in all 3 of his runs, but just again, when you're going up against the top pros like Brisulph or CHX or Prince Leaf, et cetera, I could go on forever. I mean, you get the gist. You've got to be throwing down low 6s to keep up with the Joneses. Again, solid performances by SpaceColonizer tonight, just not enough this time around.